Alright, I'm hoping it's not too windy. We've been worried about the wind lately, but it's been very windy on the coast for what seems like ages. I wanted to do live streams outside. I haven't wanted to go outside because it's so windy, and it's kind of windy today, and I'm like, I need outside beach time, sun time. So here I am at the beautiful beach. A bit more people around because school holidays. That's okay. So I wanted to talk about, so funny because I'm like, oh, let's talk about ascension symptoms and all this jazz. And it's like, ultimately, who really knows what's going on, right? With like, what is it, ascension? You know, like the earth and the body and everything is rising, yeah? And it's like this, you know, who really knows what's kind of going on with the planet? However, what we do know is that the world needs more love and light. So if we can, you know, how we can do this is by simply, you know, coming from the inside out and holding that higher vibration of, you know, ultimately love and light, and just expanding your light. It's just like a physical, conscious choice to, you know, literally, you know, visualize your light beaming from the inside out and, you know, expanding outwards. It's quite simple, it's very quick to do, and, you know, it just takes that one conscious thought basically to choose to do that, and it can shift lots of things around us that we don't even kind of know. And maybe it's more like a balancing or a rebalancing that we don't know. You know, we don't really know what we're doing. We don't really know the power of what we're doing. However, it is a conscious choice to, you know, contribute in that way. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the planet, and a lot of us don't really know what to do about it. However, the most simple thing that we can do is to consciously choose to expand our light from the inside out. So there's been like a lot of physical body, you know, symptoms or changes going on, like for me personally. And I always forget that there's a global collective stuff going on, and I got my own stuff going on, and it's like, you know, remembering that there's bigger stuff going on than us as well. I shared something about Jim Carrey this morning, and I saw it, you know, flying around his interview with, I don't know, someone that he did, and I thought it was a little bit weird and strange. And, you know, I think for me, you know, when I saw that original one of Jim Carrey, it's very much, you know, like I really get what he's saying, and I really, you know, like I totally get it. However, that, you know, the thing is, and it's like, how do we bring that into our modern day world? Because, like, you know, everything that he's saying is truth. Ultimately, people look at you like you're crazy, and, you know, I know a big part of what I do and teach is to how to bring that into the modern day world, and how to do that without, you know, people are going to think you're crazy anyway, right? But it's like, how do we balance that? How do we, you know, be and do that in the modern day world? And I just happened to watch on TV last night, like I rarely turn the TV on, and I was in the kitchen and I thought to turn it on, which usually there's always something on to watch when I do that. And so happens that it was just about to start a program called Cosmos, and it was on Gem, and it was about, you know, creation and blah, 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 and the galaxies and all that sort of thing. And I was like, okay, cool, let's watch that. And like Adaya's brain just sparked all these questions. It was kind of cool homeschooling. However, the thing that really jumped out about it on that show last night was about, what's his name? Something Roosevelt, where back in the early, however long ago it was, back in Rome and Italy, when, you know, like I don't know if it was Catholic or Christian or whatever church was like, you know, you can't have a different train of thought. Like, he literally got put in jail for 10 years for being stubborn in his belief that there was something bigger than us, that we weren't the only planet in the cosmos, that we weren't, you know, the be-all and end-all, you know, that the Earth rotated around the sun, not the other way round. And it was really interesting to watch this, and, you know, like, he was literally put in jail for 10 years before he was burnt at the stake because he was not willing to change his views to conform to I don't know if it was Christianity or Catholic or whatever it was back in those days, and he was burnt at the stake for having a different worldview, that, there is, the stars are actually other suns, and there's actually other planets that go around those suns. And it was really interesting to, it was just a cartoon kind of recollecting of what his journey was like, but to be burnt at the stake after 10 years of being in prison because he wouldn't change his views, and it just it really, resonated with me. It's just society conforms because it's the norm to conform. And, you can't have a different worldview, or you can't have a worldview, or you can't think differently, if you do, you think, you look crazy. And, it's exactly what Jim Carrey's kind of copying, but he doesn't really care. But he's, he is being that light in a very different way. And, when I watched that last night just happened to turn that on with the Cosmos and Roosevelt, and it's I think the guy said, the presenter said, I think it was 8 to 10 years after Roosevelt got burnt at the stake, that someone had invented the telescope, and indeed proved that what Roosevelt was saying was correct. So Roosevelt was going off his own vision and what he was showing in, visions. And he was, sticking with that we are more than just this planet and the cosmos, what we know it today. And, for him to go through 8 to 10 years of imprisonment, to then be burnt at the stake because he wouldn't change his train of thought to conform to what everyone else was, he was a threat to society basically back then. And, and then 8 to 10 years later, someone invented the telescope and indeed scientifically proved that Roosevelt was correct. And it just made me, think. It's just when we have these different worldviews and these different trains of thought to the norm, and we're looked at as crazy and all this sort of thing, because we are going off intuition, we are going off feeling, we are going off the visions and the intuition that we have, right? And we will look like that to society until it is proven scientifically. And if we look at that case study of, Roosevelt being in prison for 8 to 10 years and then burnt at the stake eventually because he wouldn't change his train of thought, and then, 8 to 10 years later someone invented the telescope and proved that he was correct. It's almost like, which kind of came first? Yeah? If we're looking at an act of creation, it's Roosevelt had these visions, he trusted them, he was sticking with them, he wasn't going to change that. And then 8 to 10 years later, somebody invented the telescope and proved that he was correct. It's what came first? Did him planting that seed create the questions, and then the answers came, i.e. telescope, let's invent a telescope, how do we see further than what we can see with our physical eye? Did that vision come to then create more, to create more, to create more? Because what I found really interesting on that show last night is they said, with the universe, there's only a certain amount of, distance we can actually see in the universe. And they were saying something if you shot an arrow, would it keep going into space, or would it hit something? And then you go to that vantage point from when the arrow landed, and then you throw another arrow and it keeps going, and would it keep going, or would it hit something? And then you go to that vantage point and then throw it again. It's it is limitless, it is infinite, and it keeps on going. And if you didn't see that show last night, I highly recommend you see it. I think they said it was on Netflix too, called Cosmos. Or the Cosmos or Cosmos, yeah, something like that. And it was just really interesting to, I guess, have that confirmation, or that, yesterday somebody knocked on my door at, the people who come around and want you to go to their church. Excuse my ignorance, but he gave me a little pamphlet, and and I opened up the pamphlet, and big letters across it said, "Don't give up." And then I watched that show last night about the cosmos and Roosevelt getting, in prison for 8 to 10 years and then burnt at the stake because he had a different train of thought, and then 10 years later someone inventing the telescope to prove what he was saying was true. It's to have those kind of, I guess, signs to keep you going and to trust yourself even when it doesn't conform to society, that, if you know what is right in your heart to do for you and your life and create what you are being called to create, then you are the only person that you need to trust. You are the only person that you need to worry about And, you know, if you do resonate with what I'm saying, you know that you are a leader and a, you know, what is it, a new thought world provoker or something, you know, with that different train of thought to current society. You know, if you do think outside the box and you don't fit into the norm, you know, celebrate that. Yeah, and find your tribe that get you, because we are here and we are out there for sure. And, you know, it is just that ultimate trust in yourself and, you know, and knowing that you are supported in those things, even when you feel like giving up, even when you know, are copping all those outside judgments from normal society, because they don't get you and they won't get you. And, you know, what is that saying? It's like people judge what they don't know, or they judge what they don't understand. I don't know, there's kind of like 3 stages or something. They'll try and tear it down, and then they'll accept it, and then they'll want to know how to do it. You know, it's just like normal human society or whatever doing, you know, that's just the way it fucking works, unfortunately. So my main message for you for this live stream this morning is don't give up. Don't give up on what you know is true in your heart. Don't let go of your big vision, even when it's getting ripped down, you know. And the thing with that, what I watched last night, and Roosevelt, you know, like he got, I don't know if you call it like banished from all these cities and wasn't allowed to go in all these places. And he actually chose to go back to Italy, I think it was, knowing full well that he would be captured by the thought police. Can you believe it? Back then? Crazy. That's fucking crazy. But, you know, it's like he knew full well that he'd go back. For 10 years he was in that cell and wouldn't, you know, no matter how much torture, no matter how much, you know, like stuff they put him through, he wouldn't conform to their beliefs. You know, he was so strong in himself to, you know, have that vision within himself and trust that. And I think that's a really important message for today. And, you know, if you're going through a hard time, or if you know, not sure if you can keep going, well, this is your sign to keep going. Yeah, ultimately it's your sign to keep going. And with what I put with the topic of the live stream, I've kind of got a bit off topic, but obviously needed to talk about that. My nose is running today. Is that, you know, with the physical body changes and stuff, I just got tagged in something I was very grateful for I know I say it all the time. If you don't follow Elizabeth Peru, go and follow her. She does awesome astrological, you know, things that, you know, if you're not sure what's going on with you, always go and check her page, because I guarantee it's on there. So, you know, like physical body changes, has been, you know, so much since the eclipse in late August that we're still kind of reeling from, we're still cleaning up from. You know, allow yourself to, you know, have those, you know, if you are going through physical body changes, you know, there has been a huge influx of light and, you know, higher vibration being flooded into the earth and into our physical bodies, because we are of the earth. So if you have any physical body symptoms that the doctors can't, you know, find, or you're not sure what's going on because you haven't really changed anything in your life, then definitely jump over and have a look at her latest blog. I can post the link in the comments for you when I get off of this live stream, just about the physical body symptoms. You know, they're, you know, if you're not sure what's going on, just check that, because you might resonate with that too. And I've got some big changes coming up for myself personally in my life. I want to share them, but not yet, so stay tuned if you're curious about what that is for you. I would love to know how you're going if you're watching this live stream and even on replay, and resonate with anything that I've said about the Roosevelt story that I just happened to randomly get the intuition to turn the TV on, which never really happens anymore, but it did last night, and it was really, really interesting to just see that. What else did I write on the title of this live stream? Yes, big changes. Oh yes, the theme of gentleness. And yeah, and that's what I was talking about with the eclipse and all the big changes. There's been a lot of people going through a lot of huge life changes in the past 3, 6, 9, 12 months, still kind of unraveling from it all. And with the eclipse at the end of last month, we're just unreeling. There's still, I think, 4 planets retrograde, so going backwards. So we're still going over stuff. We're still clearing out, we're still, shifting to, I guess, level up to that next vibration to, meet yourself there, and just kind of going through the physical body symptoms to catch up. Yeah, whenever we have a shift in vibration, whenever we shift something out of our life, the physical body goes through a bit of a detox, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, to shift out that old to rise to the new level, yeah? What else did I write on that live stream? Yeah, and just be gentle. Like, just be gentle with, yourself through all the changes. Like, if you actually just stop for a minute, like if you're in distress, right, just stop for a minute and just kind of have a quick review about what's happened in the past, past week, past month, past 3 months, past 6 months, and actually just kind of look at what you've been going through yourself personally and the people around you, and kind of how much you've been holding or going through, because there has been big changes going for a lot of people. So just be gentle, yeah? Like, just be gentle. You're only human as much as we want to be superhuman and power through and get shit done. Just be gentle, because you are human and we are rising to a new frequency where things are changing. Yeah, like thought patterns, the way we do things in the world, the way we connect with people, the way we connect online, the way we connect in our lives, what we're doing with our lives, what's the point, what's the purpose, what am I actually fucking doing here on this planet, why am I doing this, and as I say in like my blogs and stuff, there's a lot of things that you might get intuitively, like I get it all the time. And if you just jumped on this live stream, you might want to go and rewatch what I was saying about Roosevelt, that you might not know why you have a certain vision. You might not know why you have a train of thought or your purpose and your goals and all that sort of thing, and it might be very different to the norm. Like, you might know in yourself, but everyone else around you doesn't know, and that's fine. It doesn't mean that they have to, but you might not ever know the reason why you have that vision and what seeds you're planting by the actions and the things that you're doing. Like, if I take that Roosevelt story and look at that as though, he just would not cave or conform to their torture, their 10 years in jail because he had a different train of thought. What were they so scared of, if he was just thinking a different way? What, and even with all his sentences and everything that they were doing, even him holding that vision and that train of thought and not conforming, and everyone going, you need to conform, and he's like, no, the world's bigger than us, and we're not the only ones here, and there's galaxies, and the stars are actually suns, and there's planets, and him just saying those things repetitively for 10 years and not budging on his vision was planting all these seeds into the consciousness, and then someone ended up creating a telescope 10 years later so that they could actually see that shit, right? So was he planting those seeds and then it created the universes, or was he actually, just trying to change the modern, what was back then, that current collective to actually see greater, and it takes one person, it takes one seed to plant a massive oak tree. So if you've got something inside of you that is so strong and clear and no one else around you understands it, and you don't even know why you're so strong in that, but you're not fucking changing it, stay true to that, because that's your purpose, that's your life, that's why you're here. And you might not be out there doing live streams in the world and blogging and fuck knows what, you might not be called to do that. But you holding that vision within yourself and doing what you are called to do, this is the most important, because a lot of people jump on and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to do live streams and I'm supposed to do this because that's what she's doing. No, you need to find what's right for you. And maybe you are, this is what I'm here to teach you, is to tune in to what you're being called, what feels right for you, and whatever you step up to start doing, do it consistently. Don't stop, even on the days you don't feel like it. Even when you think, what's the point? Even when you think, why am I doing this? I'm just getting hammered. Why am I continually doing this? Even if you need to stay true to your vision if it's right for you. That's all that matters. So if you just jumped on this live stream, you might want to go and rewatch. I might see if I can find the link to that Cosmos thing. I didn't end up watching the whole thing actually, and that's sort of what happens. I just get the message that I need out of something, and then I'm like, oh, why am I watching this? And that's what happened to me with that. And a hawk or sea hawk or something's just gliding up there, and the hawk or the eagle, they're all similar message. I don't have my book on me, but it's looking at that big picture. It's stepping or flying above the drama and seeing the big picture, seeing the divine order in the chaos, seeing the truth about your vision, even when you don't know why. It's about holding that big picture vision and seeing that, yeah? Like flying above it, making sure you stay grounded. But, do you know what I mean? If you're too embroiled in something and you're not sure why, step back. And as, you know, like Jim Carrey's message coming through on that video I shared this morning, it's like life is happening for us, not to us. And when we can detach in that amount of trust, that's when we will see the beauty of our entire life. Even when it doesn't make sense. Even when we're wondering what the hell we're doing. Even when it feels like shit. When we can step back and let go of control, because we ain't got no fucking control. That is ultimately when we see the beauty in life. When helicopters seems really loud. Being able to see what's going on from above, yeah? And letting go and allowing life to happen for us. Yes, you know, we've got to turn up, we've got to take action, you know, it's a co-creation. But when we can let go of the things that we don't have control over anyway, and we allow life and we see it for what it is, for the beauty of the unfoldment, for whatever reason, who knows. You know, life on the planet is in a lot of distress right now. And there's a lot of things that a lot of light workers are going, what the actual fuck, I'm doing all this work and look at the state of the planet. But when we can continue holding our vision, staying true to that and not letting anything knock us from that, it's like what's coming to mind is that holding that higher vision and that higher vibration, that, what is it, the Mayans ascended to the next thing, the next dimension or whatever. Because they were, and what I see, where Jim Carrey is at and what he's trying to, where he's at and trying to fucking get people to wake the fuck up, basically, is that space of observation, of allowing, of coming from that space where we all are. So as you go through your day today, whenever you're watching this, allow yourself to step back. I'll see if I can find the link to that cosmos and have a look at Roosevelt's story. If you're resonating with anything that I've said, and if you really want to let go of attachment and come into that space of, you know, connected detachment, because ultimately the true source of connection comes from within when we're connecting to our soul and our spirit and allowing that to be our forefront. Yes, we're human. Yes, we feel stuff. Yes, we have emotions. Yes, we want things. But when we can come from that space of healthy connection and detachment at the same time, it's based in our sacral. You know, where we're nourished at our core, when we feel that ultimate contentment is when we're nourished properly in our belly. The Buddha contentment, that, you know, joyful fullness, where we don't feel hungry all the time because we're connected, because that's our true source of food. So calling in your soulmate. And I shared a video last night about a section of a module that I created in there, and it kind of gives you the main core reason and key to manifesting anything in your life. Anything at all. not just a relationship, but anything. So if you're really wanting the key number one factor, you can go and watch that and get the number one key thing out of the entire course. You don't even have to do the course, but that gold, that piece of gold is there. And if you can do that, well, then you've got it. But if you want to go deep, if you really want to clear out the shit in your sacral and everywhere else, then jump in. Early bird closes tomorrow night at midnight. So if you really want the tools and to work deep, and you know, this isn't for everyone. If you don't want to do the fucking work, this ain't for you. If you just want the surface stuff and to keep going and wonder why shit's still going on in your life the way that it is, keep going then. But if you're really willing to step up and do the actual work that's actually going to shift big changes in your life, because this is about manifesting what you want, the reality you want, the dreams you want, the co-creation that you want, then calling in your soulmate, sacred manifestation is for you. So I'll post a link in the comments. Early bird closes tomorrow. If you've got any questions, if you're watching the replay of this live stream, please let me know. Send me a message or comment below on the live stream, and I shall see you real soon. I will announce my big changes really soon. I'm not ready to yet, but I will do so very soon. Keep it real. Lots of love. Namaste.